a whole lot of different Saltland pasture species, and this was all, I think it was EM31. It was all checked and so on. This is that sort of country that doesn't grow a 1 tonne barley crop, but it doesn't grow samphire either.
Yeah.
So it's sort of that marginal type country, and there's a huge amount of that country around the wheat belt. And so we're trying to see which pasture species does the best in which sort of soil type. And we've also got, and there's some over there, there's 12 different species of barley that we're trialling. Even right back to, they've even got some beecher. Where they got that from I'm really not sure, but I reckon beecher was a really good variety in this sort of country. And so there's 12 different species of, or different varieties of barley. Most of them are 2 rows, and the biggest majority of them are feed barleys as well, but there are some of the malt barleys as well. And so we're just trying to find out which one does the best in this sort of country. We're growing just over there is some bull oak that we've got in. We've been growing Hamlin and bull oak, and but if something else is going to do better, we might be better off to go away from the Hamlin, or going out of Hamlin anyway. This will be our last year with Hamlin, but we might be wise to go out of the bull oak, and if we can get a feed variety that does really well. Given that I looked on the phone this morning, there was an SMS come, and there's about a $60, I think it is, a tonne at this stage spread between malt and feed. A lot of times in this sort of country you can't get the malt anyway with the malt barley, so if we can get something that yields better, we might make a lot more money by growing something which, because we always believed that we were growing a malt so it gives us 2 bites at the cherry, but maybe it might be better not to have 2 bites at the cherry, just take a good big bite with a malt barley with a feed barley that does a little bit better than the malt. So, but the barley trial is one that Ed Barrett-Leonard is involved with. Ed Barrett-Leonard and John Borgia are the 2 that are mainly involved with that. This is SPA, and John's involved in that with his agronomy skills, but Grant Stainer is the project leader for that one, project leader, and so that's where all the hydrology type stuff is coming from, with the EM31s and that sort of stuff. That's Grant's forte, and Alan Harrod was the guy who was in charge of the seeding of it from the department in Merredin, so it was really interesting. We were here when some of this was being seeded. We had a bit of a ride on the machine and watched the cone planter working and so on, which was all very interesting, and a little tiny machine, after watching a reasonable size air seeder roaming around, was a bit of a challenge as well. So, but it's all very interesting. It was sprayed can't remember now, about a week before it was seeded, and it was seeded, I think it was the 17th of June, and when it was seeded we'd had just on ½ an inch of rain a couple of days before, and it just went in absolutely perfect. It was just beautiful seeding conditions when it went in, and there was a pretty good weed control as well. But I noticed there's a little bit of ice plant over there in a couple of spots, so it'll be just interesting to see. I don't know what's going to be involved in the post-emergent spraying and so on, whether they have plans to spray the pasture species post-emergent or not. I'm really not sure at this stage. So, but the barley variety trials, that's all supposed to be post-emergent sprayed and so on, just exactly the same as what we would in a farm situation. So that's what's happened here. It was also sprayed, when it was sprayed early on, it was sprayed to get rid of the blue bush as well, to give everything a fair and equal go, because blue bush has colonised this quite well. We haven't planted any of that, it's just likes the area, so and the sheep like it, so I'm not happy to I'm quite happy to see it stay, but I also was quite happy to say to them, we'll spray it out because we really need to give everything a fair opportunity. So that's pretty much this site, and I have got a list at home of what all the different pasture species are, but I can't remember what they were. Some of them I don't even know what they are. So to me they're a bit obscure, but if they grow fairly well, they might not be quite so obscure in the future, as far as I'm concerned.